The most dangerous number in your business is the one going up. Revenue is a metric every founder watches, and it's the most likely to lie to you about whether you're actually winning. Here's what's actually happening. Founders hit $1 million, $2 million, $3 million in revenue, and every growth milestone comes with an invisible invoice. More team means more management. More clients mean more obligation. More revenue means more infrastructure you can't easily undo. And somewhere along the way, the business that was supposed to create freedom starts running the founder instead. And if you're sitting between 1 and 5 million right now, you're in the most dangerous stretch. Because you've outgrown the hustle phase, but you haven't built the layer that makes growth serve you instead of consume you. You're carrying enterprise-level complexity on a founder-dependent operating system. If you don't start measuring what growth is actually costing you, not in dollars, but in time, options, and relationships, and the energy that you got, you will build something that everyone congratulates you for, and nobody would trade with you. I've watched it happen, and more than once. I'm Camper Bull, and I've spent 20 years helping founders scale companies to multi-million-dollar valuations. And the pattern I've seen most often isn't businesses failing. It's the business succeeding in a way the founder never really wanted. Today, I'm going to give you a tool to use to fix that. It's called the Ownership Scorecard. A few months ago, I'm sitting in a big conference room, corner office, floor-to-ceiling windows, nice furniture. The kind of room that looks like those stock photos of CEO success. I'm across the table from a founder who's just crossed her best quarter in history of the company. Revenue up 40% year over year. Team doubled. Full pipeline. A founder's dream. We're maybe 10 minutes in going through numbers and she just stops, mid-sentence. She sets her pen down and says, "Camper, I need to be honest with you. This is not what I thought it would be." I remember sitting there thinking, she's not talking about the product. She's not talking about the market. She's talking about her life inside the thing she built. Her calendar hasn't had an open afternoon in 5 months. She and her co-founder had stopped talking about anything except fires to put out. The creative work, the reason she started the company, she hadn't touched it since Q1. She told me she'd been waking up at 4 a.m. most mornings, not because she was excited, because the anxiety hit her before the alarm did. And here's what got me. Nobody on her team knew. Because her team was looking at the same dashboard she was. Revenue up, headcount up, churn down. By every metric the business tracked, things were working, but the metrics didn't measure what was costing her to make them work. The gap, we measure everything about the business. We almost never measure whether the business is delivering what the founder started it to get. The scorecard closes that gap. Here are 3 actions to build into your own run. If you only do one thing after this video, do this. Every 90 days, scorecard yourself. Not your business, yourself. On 4 dimensions. I call them the 4 pillars. Time control. How much of your week reflects your priorities versus everyone else's fires? Financial margin, not revenue. Could you survive a bad quarter without panic? Relationship quality. Are the 5 relationships that matter most getting stronger or weaker? And purpose. Are you doing work that actually means something to you, or just managing what's in front of you? Rate each one, 1 to 10. Takes about 10 minutes. And then look at them side by side. I had a founder do this last year. Revenue was through the roof. He gave himself a 9 on financial margin, but time control, 3. Purpose, 4. He'd been so locked into growth mode that he accidentally optimized himself out of every part of the job that he loved. He didn't need more revenue. He needed to redesign how revenue got made. The rule is simple. Anything below a 6 gets treated the same way you treat a red metric on your business dashboard. Not a someday problem, not a new problem. Action 2 prevents the damage before it shows up in your scorecard. Before you say yes to any major decision, new hire, new client, a partnership, new product line, run it through the one question. Does this give me more choices 6 months from now or fewer? Not more revenue, not better pitch deck, more choices. And here's how that plays out. Enterprise client wants to add 30% to your top line, but then they need you on it personally on a call every weekend. That's fewer choices. You just bought revenue with your calendar. Systems hire cost more than you budgeted, but takes 40% of your operating load off the table. More choices. Even though the P&L doesn't love it yet, exclusive partnership doubles your distribution, but locks you into 2 years. Fewer choices. The revenue looks good, the optionality doesn't. I worked with a founder who walked away from a 7-figure deal when he ran it through his filter. He saw it would lock his team into a vertical for 18 months. The board thought he'd lost his mind. 6 months later, a better opportunity opened up in an adjacent market, one that he could only take because he hadn't handcuffed himself to the first deal. That second deal was worth 3 times the original. Revenue that removes options isn't growth. It's a lease on someone else's priorities. This is the action most founders skip, and it's the reason the first 2 don't stick. Share your scorecard with your leadership team. Not every detail, not a confessional, but let them see the 4 pillars and where you've scored. And here's what matters. If your team doesn't know what winning looks like for you as a human being, not just a robotic CEO, they will optimize for the only metric they can see, revenue. And they'll keep bringing you opportunities that feed the revenue number while quietly starving everything else. When you make the scorecard visible, 2 things shift. First, your team starts pre-filtering. They stop bringing you the huge opportunity that would bury your calendar because now they know it's not a win. Second, and this surprised me, your team starts building their own scorecards. The best run companies I work with don't just measure the business health, they measure whether the business is actually delivering what the people inside want. One founder I work with puts her scorecard on the screen at the start of every quarterly planning session, right next to the P&L. Her COO pulled me aside after the second time they did that and said, that changed more about how we prioritize than any strategy session we've ever run, because it made the priorities honest, not just ambiguous, honest. You don't chase growth that steals your calendar back. You design operations so success buys options, not obligations. If you want the actual ownership scorecard, the template with all 4 pillars, the scoring rubric, the quarterly review questions, and the decision filter we just walked through, it's in the description and pinned to the comments. Download it, block 15 minutes this week, and fill it in. It might be the most honest thing you look at in your business for a long while. 3 things. 1, score your 4 pillars every quarter. Time control, financial margin, relationship quality, and sense of purpose. Anything below a 6 is a red metric. 2, before every major yes, run the ownership filter. Does this give me more choices or fewer? And then 3, put your scorecard next to your P&L so your team optimizes for what actually matters, not just what's easy to count. Do that, and you'll stop building a company that looks great from the outside and feels like a trap from the inside. Here's a quick gut check. Right now, score your time control 1 to 10. Drop the number in the comments. No explanation needed, just the number, and I'll be reading every one. And once you get the scorecard filled out, watch the video on the screen next. It's about building an operating system that protects those scores quarterly over quarterly, because knowing your numbers is step 1. Designing the business around them is where it actually changes. Click the video, and I'll see you there.
Thanks for tuning into today's episode on the Strategy Session, where we take your business from stuck to unstoppable. Here's another video I think you'd enjoy. If you found these insights valuable, remember to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell for notifications on our latest videos. Remember, you're not just marketing, you're making history with Venture Gained.